Good morning, YouTube. As you know, there's this whole thing about Ferraris catching fire. And well, mine's kind of getting close. So what's going on is the fuel filler, this thing right here, is leaking. The way I found out was I went to the track and I had a full tank of gas, and when I made some hard left turns, gas came flying out of the car. Yeah, we need to get that fixed because that's kind of bad.
Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Can't stop.
So are you recording all of the nefarious activities?
So while I was at the track, my buddy Merrick sent me a picture and said, hey, I don't think this is supposed to happen, and take a look. Yeah. So as you can see, quite a bit of fuel was coming out. I knew I smelt fuel, and I thought, oh man, I don't know exactly what was going on, but I had a suspicion that was what's going on. Also, I was getting occasionally evap faults on the car. Those are suggestive that it's not sealing correctly and it's evaporating out some of the fuel vapors. We need to get a new fuel filler thing put in this car. So yes, Ricambi America hooked me up again. This is the new fuel filler. If for some reason you happen to need this part, it's 319242. Comes as a whole thing. It's the filler and the top and everything. Basically, we have to undo all of this stuff, and it goes all the way down to the fuel tanks, which are kind of in there. I don't want to say it's not going to be difficult or not going to be hard, because last time we played with fuel, we had kind of a little bit of an incident. Well, that's not supposed to be like that. So even though it doesn't necessarily call for it in the instructions, first thing I'm going to do is disconnect the battery because, well, I don't feel like catching on fire. In the 458, the battery is just behind this little panel, which is pretty simple to get to. And then it thankfully gives you this nice little quick disconnect. So you just pull that there, and then ta-da, the battery is now disconnected. So now we pulled the battery. Don't forget, you want your doors open already because the windows roll down a little bit, and if you don't, you can shatter the windows. Very bad thing. I forgot to do my driver's door, so we gotta remember not to open the driver's door until the battery's reconnected. Just gonna leave the passenger door open. Step one is we gotta remove this trim panel, the carbon fibers. Thankfully, they changed the design of the 458 compared to the 430, and you don't have to pull the gas strut. It actually, you can see there's a little channel, and it actually is grooved, so we can just slide it right on out of there. We got a bunch of these 3mm hex bolts to get out. Next, we got to remove this air duct. So it disconnects in a few spots and hopefully comes out of the way pretty easily. There we go. So we got to remove the wheel. And then it says to remove the front wheelhouse, so the piece that goes right here. They call it a wheelhouse. Come on. All right, since we're gonna jack up the car, we're gonna put some wheel chocks on. Alright, so you can see the wheelhouse has a bunch more of these 3mm hex heads, so we'll take that out, and then we should have better access. You can see the fuel filler is right behind it, so that should give us much better access. Oh, I lied, they're 4mm. I think it'd be easier just to remove the rear one to get to the front one, because, yeah, I don't want to break it. So we're just going to remove the rear one too, the rear wheelhouse. Alright, so I got the rear wheelhouse pulled back a little bit, which gives me a little bit of room to pull the top one, the front one, down a little. All right, the next thing we gotta do is pull off this L-door ECU. I don't know what that means, but you can see basically it blocks access to where we need to go. Get these out. Of note, 2 of the 3 were different sizes, so this one was bigger, these 2 were smaller. That's probably something worthy to know. It's still kind of connected, but you can see now it's least free. Now we got a bunch of stuff to disconnect on the other side, which is going to be really hard to get to. So here's the new filler, and what's fascinating is, alright, so we got this little clip that we're going to have to undo, which connects to the tank itself. Here's where the neck actually meets. Difficulties would be trying to get the camera in here. I don't know that's even possible. Yeah, let me see if I shoot. Okay, yeah, there. You can barely see the yellow clip. So that is that clip right there. So yeah, I'm gonna have to stick my arm way up in there and get that yellow clip off. Alright, so here's the scoop. I clipped this one on the old filler and was able to disconnect it from the hose. Now I need to get this stupid thing off. So the way it works is you push it up, so it's down like this, and you push it up, and then you have to push on these little white things on the sides to release it. The problem is I just cannot get my hand in there to actually squeeze the 2 things on the sides. I pushed it out, so I've unlocked it, but I just cannot get in there. I'm trying to figure out how the hell I can get in there. The only thing I can think of is maybe if I smash off the yellow thing, then maybe I could get a pair of pliers in there or something. I don't know. This is a pain in the butt. Okay, that was way harder than it should be. It's because there's just no access, so you cannot get your hand in there. And so what I ended up doing, I took these needle nose and I just grabbed it on the sides so hard. Eventually I wore down the sides and was able to depress the little buttons. That thing sucks. Now the trick's gonna be, how do we get that in there? So here's what we're dealing with. If you look there, dead center on the screen, there's a little tiny like thing right there that has to be broken loose in order for the hose to come out, and there's just no access, so it's an absolute nightmare. Ah, yes! Alright, we got it. We got it! Yeah, I'll never play for Notre Dame. Okay, so the way I had to get it is not the best way, but it worked. So basically I could not get anything in there to break that little clamp loose. So what I did is I took my little Dremel and I was able to snake that in there just barely. And then I ran it as slow as possible because obviously we're near the fuel tank, we don't want any sparks. So very, very carefully would just barely etch away at it. And I probably worked at it for a half an hour, just slowly grinding away, very, very slowly. And then finally it got through all the metal and I was just able to pry it loose with a screwdriver. So that was an absolute pain in the butt. Yes, now we must install the new one. Woo, it's gonna be just as much a pain in the butt. Yes, in with you. Unfortunately, there's really not enough room, but you can kind of see, well, you can't, but that's where the hose is going, so I need to get in there, and there's just no way you're gonna be able to see it with the camera. There's just not enough room, sorry. Got the hoses connected. I don't have the fill tube clamped down in there, but I'm gonna screw it down up here just because I don't want it moving around. So let's do that real quick. And it says it's only like 5 Newton meters. Let me double check, but it's really light. All right, yeah, it says 5 Newton meters, and it specifically says to be extremely careful not to over torque these. My assumption is because it's probably screwing into aluminum that if you over torque it, you're gonna damage the body of the car, and that would be really bad. So again, don't forget the tall one apparently is the upper left, and then the 2 smaller ones go on the other sides. Alright, so those are torqued down to 5 Newton meters. Now we just gotta get that stupid clamp on there somehow. Okay, it's in, and it's tightened down, and I'll tell you, this sucks. This is really, really difficult just because of the limited access. My arms are totally torn up because you're like pressing against the sharp fender. You got no room for your hands, so your hands are just, you're pushing with your fingertips and your fingernails and your knuckles, and it just doing everything you can to just try and get that thing tightened. What an absolute pain in the butt. But I'm glad it's done. Hopefully this resolves my leak. So that leak hopefully is gone, because it was an evaporative leak, and obviously it was leaking out gas when I turned left with the full tanks. Either way, what we did was a good thing, and hopefully will prevent me from catching on fire. So I'm a fan of that. I like not being on fire. All right, now we just gotta put everything back. So wheel houses, as they call it, the air intake and the panel, and then that's it. I'll drop it down, and now we'll torque it to 100 foot-pounds. Air intake tube. Okay, let's do it in there just right. Last piece, the panel. Put this back on. All right, now all we gotta do is reconnect the battery. Connect the battery. There we go. So anytime you disconnect the battery, it's really important to take the car, put the keys in the ignition, turn it forward, and let it sit for about a minute before starting, or maybe 30 seconds. I guess we can use this time to set my clock. All right, now the car's been sitting for a minute. We'll try and start. And then we'll let it run for a minute. Yeah. You can actually hear the engine kind of going up and down a little bit as the ECU kind of relearns the car. So you're supposed to let it sit and idle. Don't rev it, just let it sit for about a minute. So it's been running for about a minute. We're good to go now. There you have it. We replaced the fuel filler. No new warnings came up on the dash, so I think it's finally fixed. Now I don't have to worry about turning left and having gas fly all over the place. Probably a good thing. My car won't catch on fire. That's a very good thing. So again, a huge thanks to Academy America for sending me that part. So if you happen to need that fuel filler, the part number is 319242. I know it's probably not exactly a super common failure point, but you never know.